Grow
Because
the fuck up,
because you start
Johnny.
physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did, so I had to get the fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
You would agree that you found drugs and alcohol at an early stage in your life, right?
I've certainly, yes, I did.
And you testified a couple days ago that you had done just about every kind of drug there was by age 13 or 14, right?
15.
15. And you found that drugs are the only way to numb your pain, right?
They have always been a medicine for me, yes, a numbing agent.
Since when does substance use and substance use disorder and the disease of addiction make you a monster that beats his wife? I don't know. Also, is no one going to talk about the fact that Amber Heard should be a literal felon right now? She should have been arrested and charged with causing him extreme bodily injury. We're just going to breeze past that? No, not me. I'm going to get into all of it today. So what's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell, I have been enthralled with Johnny Depp's defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard. Like the rest of the world, I have just been watching every single second of it, and there's so many factors in this that relate a lot to what this channel is about, like substance use disorder and childhood trauma and domestic violence and the legal system. So this might not seem like my regular content, but it ties in perfectly and I'm obsessed with it. So that's what we're talking about. If this is your first time on the channel, hi, how are you?
Awful, really bad.
Great. Well, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been to prison. Not a flex, I'm just used to saying it, and I've met a lot of women that remind me a lot of Amber Heard. We're gonna get into it. As always, all of my social media handles and links are all in the description box of this video. You can follow me around my life on the internet and stuff, so description box. But without further ado, let's kick this thing off. Now, I'm sure we all know when Johnny and Amber separated, finally, Amber went to court with bruises on her face, asking for a restraining order that she was granted. Now, I'm not sure about the laws in the state of California and how you get a restraining order, but usually it is my experience that you have to prove enough of a case to get a restraining order on somebody. Now, certain states are really strict on that. It really is up to the judge, but in a lot of cases, the judge wants to see evidence that there is some kind of a reason to grant this restraining order. It's not taken lightly. You know, they want to know, okay, you are at risk, here's the restraining order. And typically in a restraining order, it says you can't go within X amount of distance between that person. So Amber does that and she gets a restraining order. A California judge grants it to her, and you know, it's just a really weird thing. Amber was very adamant about the fact that she was a victim of domestic violence, and that was just plastered all over the news, right? So we had all of these articles come out. One in particular was The Sun. Johnny did sue them because he called Johnny a wife beater. And slowly but surely we started to see all of these crazy ass details come out. Bad text messages from Johnny where he basically says, you know, he's gonna kill her and all this stuff, right? Doesn't look good for Johnny. His reputation is totally destroyed. He loses Pirates of the Caribbean. All the while Amber is still working and still getting jobs like Aquaman, and she's still able to have a career and her reputation is not on the line. She goes on to date Elon Musk, and there was speculation and rumors that she cheated on Johnny Depp with Elon. Who knows? Who knows? But basically all of this dirty laundry was just aired out all over, right? And it has been like 6 years since all of that happened. So that incident essentially ruined Johnny's career. Not only did it ruin his career, it ruined his reputation, and reputations are so important, right? Because in an instant, your good reputation can be completely destroyed. But don't try to destroy someone's life with lies when yours can be destroyed with the truth. And we're gonna get there. So that's my recap until like the defamation lawsuit. But as I'm watching this case, so many things come to my mind. The first one being that Amber Heard should have been arrested and charged with causing extreme bodily harm to Johnny. So I know we've all probably seen the pictures if you're watching this video, but Amber, in a fit of rage, takes a vodka bottle and throws it at Johnny. That vodka bottle smashed against a counter, smashed against his hand, and he lost the tip of his pinky. And what I have just found out, like in this defamation lawsuit, is that not only was his finger tip basically, you know, he lost the tip of his finger, but his finger was also shattered. He got infections and MRSA in that finger twice. He had to have surgeries. He almost lost his finger. So I'm a New Yorker. In New York, if you have a very bad fight, for example, and one person is severely injured because of something that the other party did, the injured party can choose to press charges. However, if the injuries are very severe, the state can choose to press charges anyway on the person that hit the other or caused severe bodily injury to that party, right? So Johnny could have decided, I'm gonna press charges on her. He obviously didn't. The more I heard about his finger and all of the damage that was done, the more shocked that I was that this was not something that anyone pursued. She just completely got away with mangling his hand, you know, his finger was all messed up. And it's just really sad. There's a picture of him in the hospital, and I believe his security guard, who was a former law enforcement officer, took this picture of Johnny. He's kind of sedated because of the pain, but he has a cigarette burn on his face. She burned him with a cigarette, mangled his finger. He's in the hospital, and she completely gets away with that. As all of that was coming out when they first got divorced, there were plenty of people that said, Johnny's never been violent, he's never been abusive, this is not who he is, I've never seen him enraged like that, he's never hit anyone, he's never hurt a woman. That is important to a point. So at first, when all these people were saying like, no, you know, Johnny's never been violent, at first I was like, well, you know, abusers don't abuse everyone they come in contact with. Maybe this was a mutual thing. Maybe it was two-sided. You know, maybe he was abusive towards her and she was abusive towards him. But now the more that is unraveled and the more that I see, this is a very clear picture in my own personal biased mind. This is my opinion. It's my bias, right? From watching it through the eyes of a felon who's been through the system, who has studied case law for fun because I'm a super nerd. To me, this is a very clear-cut case of narcissistic abuse, and when Johnny is seen upset and lashing out and assaulting cabinets, as he said in court, reactive abuse essentially is that one person is doing everything that they can to get the other person really, really mad. And they push and they push and they push and they push. And then when that person reacts, because the abuser is making them very, very angry, when that person reacts and they get mad, maybe they assault cabinets or they have a mega pint of wine, then the abuser says, see, you're crazy. Look how you're acting. Look how you're acting right now. And in a lot of instances, they'll turn on a camera and they will only record the moments where the person being abused, the person lashing out and acting out because they're enraged at this point, that is what is shown. Reactive abuse is very frustrating. So if that is what was going on, this is what it would look like. Amber would push Johnny. She'd push and she'd push and she'd push. She'd say things, she'd get mad, she'd get him heated, and they would fight, and it would escalate to a point where finally Johnny, in this scenario, if that is what happened, Johnny is mad. Now he's mad, he's lashing out, he's slamming cabinets, and he's just getting kind of pissy and he's slamming shit around. Then he goes and pours some wine. It's important to note here that that video recording only starts when Johnny is upset, when Johnny is assaulting cabinets like he said. You know, that is when it starts. Because Amber knows that she's recording, she's like, what's wrong? It's okay, everything's fine. Her tone and demeanor changed once she was able to get a reaction out of Johnny. And throughout the entire defamation case, it is very, very clear that Johnny's like, I try to get away from you. You start physical fights. Like, they have audio recordings and everything. Amber starts physical fights, Johnny tries to retreat. To be fair, Amber probably has abandonment issues. So when someone is trying to retreat and de-escalate a situation and calm down and leave the other room, to her, it might feel like abuse. It might feel like he is leaving her and abandoning her. The silent treatment is also very difficult for someone that has experienced, abandonment issues. The silent treatment is really interesting because it triggers the same part of the brain that physical pain comes from. So if Amber has abandonment issues, and that is a trauma for her, and Johnny's trying to leave and not talk to her, that can actually cause physical pain. Just to be fair and throw that in there. But Johnny doesn't know what else to do besides retreat, besides leave, besides try to get to a space where he is safe and she is not going to hit him, throw things at him, lash out, burn his face with cigarettes, and be this person. The more details come out, people are like, no, like she's really narcissistic. And that is because it seemed as though, from Johnny's own testimony, that she love bombed him. She was really sweet and one person, and she also did a lot of things that sort of mimicked Johnny. So that could be dark humor, literature, movies, because Johnny says like, oh, we had so much in common. Well, a lot of times a narcissist will mirror the person that they are trying to be with and connect to. So they'll see behaviors, mannerisms, music, movies, and they'll basically pair it back to you, the things that you are interested in, just to try to gain a connection there and eventually manipulate and abuse. So it was interesting when Johnny was like, it was so different at first. I mean, she was so sweet and what have you. Then it started to get really bizarre. Johnny recalled, you know, a time where he came home and took his boots off. Well, Amber wanted to take his boots off and give him some wine when he came home from work. And because Johnny took off his own boots, she was mad at him. There's just these little moments in his testimony that scream like she wanted to control him. She wanted to control these weird little things, you know? She would want to go to bed and he wouldn't want to go to bed, and she'd get very mad at him because he wasn't tired yet. So he's like, well, I could stare at a ceiling, or I could just go to bed when I'm tired. So there was a lot of moments in Johnny's testimony where it was very clear that like she wanted to really control him. What I think is really heartbreaking is that Johnny has not been able to talk about this publicly for years. For 6 years, he hasn't been able to tell his truth. And I think you see that now in this court proceeding. You see that he is finally able to speak. And Johnny Depp is a very private person. He's a private person. He does not air his business out here. So the fact that he's even here, the fact that he even sued for defamation in the first place is a big deal to him. But all of these allegations, all of these rumors ruined his entire career. It hurt his kids that were in high school. It hurt his reputation. He feels as though he has to stand up for himself. Something that I thought was a little odd about this case, and it's not a criminal case, it's a civil case, but typically you are not allowed to rant and rave and ramble essentially in a courtroom. That is for multiple reasons. One, you're building a narrative. And two, it could be seen as a waste of time for the court and the jury. So I think that, I don't know, I'm not there, right? I don't know what Amber's lawyers are thinking, but I think that because Johnny Depp is so likable, and many of the jurors did admit to liking Johnny, I think that her lawyers would probably want to let him kind of tell this narrative and give him basically a bunch of rope to hang himself for two reasons. One, if Amber's attorneys, they push back, they try to shut him down, they try to, tell him that he's not allowed to speak, Amber's attorneys and Amber's side could lose favor with the jury if they're constantly trying to shut Johnny down and not let him tell his truth and tell his story. So that could be one reason why they kind of let Johnny go off on these like tangents that I have to watch at 2x speed. But I think it's very genuine what he's saying. I think day one he was very nervous and he kind of, was slow to speak and was very careful in his wording and was anxious to air all of these details. And a lot of moments in what he's saying seems to be very painful for him. So he seems really genuine. And if Amber's team tries to shut that down, Amber could lose favor with the jury, which, I think she already has. I think there's been a lot of moments where Amber's team thought they were gonna have these aha moments and they ended up kind of backfiring. Something else that I have found really strange in watching this is, and I didn't know this before, is Amber received $7 million from Johnny Depp in their divorce, right? Okay, we all knew that. But Johnny and Amber discussed this with lawyers as the divorce was being finalized, and it was very clear that Johnny didn't want any mention of money to be public knowledge. He wanted that to be private. He didn't want her to say anything about how much money she was getting in this divorce. And that was important to Johnny because he's a private person and he didn't want that aired. Well, Amber decided that she is going to tell everyone that she got $7 million from Johnny that would be paid out in installments, paid out in payments. And then Amber just randomly decided to tell the world that she was donating that $7 million to 2 different charities. What's the reason? I would assume the reason is just to gain more favor with the world and to truly take on and encompass that role that she's playing, which is domestic violence survivor. And so far, the only picture that we have of Amber hurt is that one little picture of this little bruise on her cheek walking into court with no makeup on. That's really the only piece of evidence that we have of her having any kind of injury. However, Johnny Depp has a fucking file fax of pictures and scratches and bruises and his finger injury and all of this stuff. If Amber had physical evidence of domestic violence, that would have been out by now. Instead, what she has is a video of Johnny smashing up cabinets, proof of his substance use disorder, and some people saying that, oh, Amber was great. She's a good person. She's my friend. I love her. That's all they have at this moment in time. Do you remember what I said a while ago about a lot of people saying, well, Johnny's never been violent, I've never seen him violent, he's never abused anyone. Your reputation is important in court to a point, and for all intents and purposes, it just looks as though Johnny had a great reputation, never hurt anyone, never abused anyone before. Does that mean that he is incapable of that? No, but it builds a core of who this person is for the jury. For Amber, her past does involve domestic violence. She was in a relationship with someone and things got a little dicey, and Amber was arrested and spent the night in jail on domestic violence charges. And then later her ex-girlfriend and Amber said, oh no, it was really blown out of proportion. That's not true. Amber was not charged. She was released, so she doesn't have a criminal record because of that. But it just shows that a fight did escalate enough for cops to come. Amber randomly came out and said that the cops were homophobic and misogynist when they arrested her for domestic violence. But it's funny because the cop that arrested her is an openly gay woman police officer. Let's do some more research before we lie in public, I'm just saying. Then Amber said she's gonna donate all this money. She's only donated $100,000. Her explanation for that is that, oh, these court proceedings are costing me a ton of money. I haven't been able to fulfill my promise to these charities. But she's not legally obligated to do so. She's not legally obligated to donate that money. She was just publicly obligated because she said she would. She said that so that the world didn't think that she was just money hungry, going after Johnny's money. She really cared about her reputation so much that she volunteered $7 million to charities and then apparently just like hoped the world would forget. People don't forget Amber. That's important here because it's obvious that she has a track record for lying. I think that Amber's entire defense is that Johnny struggles with the disease of addiction. And they spent so much time going over pictures that Johnny calls perfectly placed of him falling asleep with ice cream. Pictures of a box that says JD with skulls and crossbones on it with cocaine on the table. They spent so much time going over his alcohol and drug use that I feel like that's their entire defense. Well, just because someone takes substances, just because someone has the disease of addiction, does not mean that they are a monster that beats people. I just really hope that justice for Johnny is served and the truth really comes out. I don't think that he would have filed a defamation lawsuit if he didn't believe in his heart and soul that the truth would come out and he would win. I don't think that he has ever hit Amber. I think that was a lie, which is a very insulting reality for victims of domestic violence because plenty of people struggle with domestic violence. So to have someone pretending to be a victim of domestic violence for the sole intention of ruining another person's life is terrible, and it's an insult to all of the people that are true victims of domestic violence. I guess the entire point of me talking about this is to just air the fact that men can also be victims of domestic violence. And I think more needs to be done to prevent one person from completely ruining someone else's reputation based on lies. So it would be my hope that if, for example, in this situation, a woman comes forward and says, my husband has beat me and sexually assaulted me. If it is proved that you attempted to destroy and ruin someone's life and you lied about an assault and you wasted law enforcement time and you did all of these things to try to hurt someone just because you were angry with them and there was no actual proof to that and we can prove that the person is lying about the assault, don't you think that legal action should be taken? I know a lot of people want to say, oh, if you lie on the stand, you can be charged with perjury and you could go to jail. It's very difficult to outright prove a lot of the things that Amber has said in the past, and she hasn't, testified just yet, I don't believe. If Amber loses, that's probably not going to be enough evidence to charge her with perjury. And this isn't a criminal case, it is a civil case, right? I think there is proof that she has lied many, many times. And the fact that Johnny has all of this evidence of abuse from her, oh my God. When a narcissist loses control of the person that they are attempting to abuse and control, then the smear campaign starts. I think this is one of the most tumultuous smear campaigns, one of the most public, one of the most ugly smear campaigns I've ever seen in my life. The fact that Johnny Depp's reputation wasn't even a little bit restored after their 2016 battle back and forth is just so heartbreaking to me. Let's look at this next clip where Amber is basically asked questions about hitting Johnny. Just watch her mannerisms. Watch the way that she smirks after crying. She's very emotional, very crying, sad, somber. And then when there is proof that she has hit Johnny, her entire mannerisms change. Her body language changes, she smirks. It's very clear that she has no remorse for hitting Johnny whatsoever. So I'm gonna show you guys this next clip and then we'll talk about it for a minute.
And then just talk, because it's my birthday, and I don't want to wake up on my, my birthday. We've had a million of these fights. It's just don't I just don't want to wake up on my birthday by myself. Don't. Go, please.
I'd like you to listen to what I'm about to play. Would you do that?
I then stood up. And when I stood up,
I did not do anything. And I'm really sorry about hitting you with the door or hitting your head. I did not mean to, nor.
you didn't mean to hit me in the head with the door, but you meant to punch me in the jaw.
I meant to hit you, and I did not do this thing with the door. I do remember, I did mean to hit you.
So that you didn't mean.
The door? No, God, no, I didn't.
But punching me in the jaw.
I didn't. Okay, I'm.
And Johnny, whenever he was injured or touched, it always referred to it in these ways of punching or clocked or whatever. And whether you discussed it with him or not, the last thing you do in talking to him afterwards or trying to reconcile with him is to get into what the definition of those words mean to him.
Just say what
So
happened.
I never even addressed it. He would, if he was ever pushed, it was a cold. He called it a cold clock. I mean, it was just very dramatic.
You punched Johnny Depp in the face with a closed fist.
By all means, move at a glacial pace. You know how that thrills me.
Did you ever punch Johnny Depp with a closed fist in the history?
Do you believe you're an abuser? Do you believe you abused me physically?
Do I physically believe, do I believe I physically abused you?
Yes.
Do you know I'm 115, well not anymore, but I was 115 pounds. I'm a 115-pound woman and you're going to say I have the capacity to abuse.
That's not the question. That's not the question.
Have I ever been able to knock you off of your feet?
You started
Off your balance?
these things.
You're going to get up on the stand, Johnny, and say she started it? Really?
While listening to recordings, she is smirking and eating cookies. Like, come on, dude. There is no remorse there. I think Johnny suing her for $50 million is not enough. I think it's not enough. I think that he has been through so much because of this person. His entire career lost, his reputation lost, his kids struggled, his mental health struggled. He physically almost lost his damn finger. There's been so much, and I think that $50 million is not enough, and I hope and I pray that Johnny wins this. Because there is no actual physical evidence of him ever hitting her or hurting her. No one has ever seen her with bruises. No one's ever seen her injured. She's never been to the hospital. Not that you need all of those things to be a victim of domestic violence, but if we are in a court case, you have to prove these things. You have to prove in a court case that you have been hurt by this person. You have to prove that you've been hurt by someone to get a restraining order. You have to prove that. Do I think that Amber brought out a side of Johnny that no one else had ever seen before? Yes. He has been abused in his childhood. His mother had the same kind of relationship with him as he, talked about in court. But do I think he hit her? No. But again, I was not there. It's just my bias. If you're on Johnny's side, please fill the comment section with justice for Johnny. If you believe Amber, put Team Amber in the comment section down below. If you struggle with substance use disorder, you are not a monster. I'm a partner with Groups Recover Together. They are both online and in-person treatment center. They strongly lean on harm reduction. They're 420 friendly and just the most understanding people that I've ever met in my entire life, and I always leave my landing page with them in the description box of every single video. But I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, Stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you. Justice for Johnny, and I will see you in my next one.